so to speak, the experiences of people after they die, what happens to them.
A question I have for you now is about the actual nature of hypnosis. I think probably most people's experience of hypnosis is stage hypnotists and what they read in popular magazines. And probably there's a bit of fear about the nature of hypnosis. Could you just describe, first of all, scientifically and psychologically, what's happening when people are hypnotized? And then the second question really is about, are they open to suggestion, or do we still have control?
Firstly, let me explain that how strict a position you want to take as to the validity of hypnosis depends on your willingness to accept self-reports as data. Because there is no, quote, scientific way to describe hypnosis any more than there is a scientific way to describe many aspects of psychology and other disciplines. Hypnosis has been around for a long time. It was only recognized by the AMA in America in 1958 as an appropriate therapy tool, which I think was rather late in the game, but nonetheless it is recognized today as a very appropriate therapy tool in many cases. Now, people who are in deep hypnosis are giving you information that is coming from their mind that they feel is true. It may not be always literally true as far as their everyday activities. And people who work in hypnosis in childhood issues understand this, but they believe it to be true. And working with a client long enough, you can usually unravel the difference between the two. Now, you have to remember that with thousands of cases, I had a tremendous consistency of information. What one client might be a little hazy about, another would explain. So eventually all of this mesh, this huge complicated jigsaw puzzle of mapping, so to speak, the experiences of people after they die and what happens to them. I, of course, feel that hypnosis is a wonderful, valid tool to gain this information, far more than other modalities that I've heard about, such as channeling and so forth, taking nothing away from these other aspects. But I am, of course, very biased in favor of hypnosis because I know its power and I know what people are capable of remembering in hypnosis. Now, getting back to your original question, Alan, it's important to understand that a facilitator, not programming his or her client, you ask questions like, what do you see? Not, do you see so-and-so? This is so important when you're working in this kind of area. It isn't nearly as important in past life regression. I mean, we can find out that there was, you were in a body of a Civil War soldier, for instance, who died on a battlefield in 1864, and pretty much get the nuts and bolts of what happened and so forth, very similar to what I got with the World War I soldier. But when you're getting into an ethereal field, like being in a disembodied soul state, those memories have to be very carefully analyzed. Questions have to be phrased in such a way as to not influence the client, but allow the client to develop their own memories in their own way, even though you may be using a format to get them from place to place. This is what my third book, Life Between Lives, is all about. I work very hard in training facilitators to do just what I've described, and do not bring their own biases and prejudices and belief systems into a Life Between Lives session. This is very important. Now, the other aspects of the mechanics of hypnosis, Alan, I'll just briefly explain that in my view, I think a lot of us who meditate every day are in a shallow alpha state. Okay. When we work with people in, say, a childhood, uncovering childhood memories where there has been perhaps great trauma, I would guess in most cases we're working in a shallow to medium alpha state. When we work in past life regression, we work in what is called an upper alpha state, pretty generally, and these are generalizations. It's not something you can nail down, and again, it's awfully hard to measure scientifically what I'm talking about. It basically comes from experience. However, in working with life between lives, and I think this is what trips up so many people who like to get involved with this, we need to go one stage deeper, to the theta state. Now, these are normal states of altered consciousness. Every morning when we wake up, we come from a deep sleep, delta state, up into theta, and then we get into alpha, and finally we come into a full wake state. And you do just the reverse when you go to bed at night. So these are not unnatural. It's just that if we went any deeper than the theta state, we'd have a client who was asleep and couldn't answer questions. So the mind is still conscious. The conscious mind is still active, or otherwise we would not be able to get the information that we get. So learning how to do this, to work in this kind of a deep hypnosis state in order to access this information, is something that I think needs to be taught to practicing hypnotherapists. And our organization has worked a lot with people from all different backgrounds and experience in this regard. And I can tell you that the thing that shocks them the most when they're new students and just starting to work with Life Between Lives is the length of time that it takes to work with a client. I mean, most people who are counselors in one form or another have what we call the 45-minute client session, or perhaps an hour. In order to get the kind of information that is necessary for a true life between life experience, it takes from 3 to 4 hours. It's hard work. It's hard on you, it's hard on your client. And you need to learn the hypnosis techniques necessary in order to take people that deep and to sustain that. That's why our training takes a week's length of time. And I have a number of people that I've trained who are my teachers and facilitators, and they do a wonderful job in helping new students. I say students, but the people who come to us are professionals who've been around a long time. We don't take beginner type hypnosis people. So it's, again, a long-winded way of answering your question about the hypnosis and the validity of it. There are people